All right, everyone, what's going on? Needs More Drums here, back in City Skylines 2, and you're not getting a formal intro today because I just want to get straight into the episode. So, taking into account of what we've done the past couple live streams, the waterfront part of the city is really starting to take shape, and I'm liking the way that this downtown is looking, and it's starting to, kind of look like a complete city a little bit. I know there's still a lot of gaps. But overall, I'm not too upset right now with how the way this is looking. So the goal for today is going to be to focus on a very important city service. So in the at the end of the last live stream, we were working downtown over here, and we had a couple of death waves. You can see that we're still experiencing a little bit of that in and around the city. And then I did say that I was originally going to plan on working on this park down here in this corner and getting this all detailed up. But then before the live stream ended, I realized that we have a wastewater problem. This has been kind of creeping up over the past couple times I've been playing this game, actually, to be honest, and I keep forgetting about it and failing to address it. So I think today is going to be the day that we finally do that. And so in order to address this problem, we're going to need to build a water treatment facility as opposed to just, using these sewage outlets. I hate these. I think that they're, extremely just, I don't want to say unrealistic, but yeah, at least, where I'm from, you don't see much of these at all. I mean, there are sometimes in like older cities like Chicago and New York, you do have what's called a combined sewer system where if it rains a lot, the wastewater and the stormwater, or stormwater being rainwater, drains through the same pipe network. Like that's typically how older cities were built, all of the water drained through one system. So if it rains a lot, then the, wastewater gets mixed in with the stormwater, and then it can outflow into rivers or, like in the case of Chicago, like the Chicago River or Lake Michigan. So you'll see signs sometimes around the coast where it says, don't swim in the water after, until at least like 5 days or something after a rainfall, a big rainfall, because there might be some wastewater mixed in there, and that is gross, and you don't want to do that. So just keep that in mind before you go for a swim in, anywhere in Chicago. But anyway, yeah. So my plan is going to be to do something a little bit drastic. But before we get into that, I want to go and just take care of one quick area that was on my mind when I popped this game open. And it's this little area right here. I kind of had an idea of how I want to rework some of this. And so I think what I want to do is, I want to basically make a connection that connects, this road to like this road or this road or this road, I guess, so that we have a way for people to get, another way for people to get over here, as opposed to just like having to go kind of around this way, and then you got to like come through here. There's really, or go through this road here. There's really no other indirect network. I'm gonna guess I can come through here too, but I kind of want to, I don't want this to be a busy intersection. You know what I mean? I want to give people an alternative route, and it just makes sense given that we have this long stretch of road here. So let's go ahead and do that just real quick. I'm just going to delete this basketball court and then remove these pathways for now. And we're going to redo all this a little bit later, but I just don't really care at the moment. So yeah, we'll leave that for now. And then what I want to do too is we're actually going to offset. So I can't, due to the way that these pillars are, I can't make this road on this side. So I actually have to do it on this side. So you'll see, like, I want to move. So this is going to be like an offset intersection here, which is fine. I'm not, too upset about that. But yeah, I'm just going to delete these parking lots for now, and then we'll upgrade these roads and then replace those parking lots maybe with something even a little bit better. And I'm curious now, I'm curious if we even need this. I don't think that we do. I think that this is just a random road that really isn't doing us much good, and it kind of just cuts through this, this area, and I don't think I really want that. So we're just going to redo this area, and I'll put down another parking lot here or something, and just kind of make this look a little bit better. And I might even put down a couple of office zones. So what is this? This is an office zone, so I think this might be a nice little office park. So let's go ahead, put down some parking lots, and just get this kind of connected up the way that I want it here. And so now that I have the roads laid out, I'm gonna redo some of the parking over here. So we have a few options when it comes to parking. We can use this large parking lot. We could also use a combination of, you know, some other parking lots. So I'm thinking I might use this small parking lot or this long parking lot. Just put down like 3 of these here. And that looks absolutely horrible. So instead we'll go with 2. I think that'll look a little better. And then we'll come in and maybe move that move that basketball court over here, since I want to keep that as part of kind of like the high school. And there we go. That's a little bit better. I think that's, you know, much more, it just makes a lot more sense to have some of these roads here. What I am not going to do though is allow parking on this road. I do want to have some tree-lined streets, at least in front of the high school, so that people aren't parked there, because we do have parking here anyway. I think I might just leave it at that for now and kind of call it a day here. And then for this area, like I said, I just want to use, just maybe zone out a couple of offices. There we go. That's good enough for now in terms of zoning. I think we'll come back and detail this area up a little bit later, but we'll leave that for now. And I'm not too sure what I'm going to put here and kind of here. Might even put some, could be some commercial zones, some more office zones. We'll see. We'll see. I'll just leave that for now. We'll come back to that later if we have the time. But the goal for today, like I said, is to work on this wastewater system. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to kind of change this area quite a bit. So as you can see, the water is flowing this way. So what I want to do is, I usually don't do this, but I think we're going to change a lot of the terrain here. I usually like to kind of work with the terrain that the map gives us, but you know, I've been looking on this map and I'm really having trouble finding a good place for a port, except for maybe like this area here, but it's just it's so far down in elevation compared to like the rest of the map that it doesn't really make much sense. And even looking around like some of the places like here, like, yeah, maybe I could do, you know, something here, but even then it doesn't lend a lot of space for a city. So it's been tough with the way that this terrain is on this map. To kind of figure out what to do about a port. And so what I'm thinking of doing is, since this is already, you know, like the bigger city on the map, this is kind of, you know, like the capital city, so to speak. We already have this big industrial area here. I'm thinking about just kind of expanding the industry and just giving us some room to work with by sort of getting rid of like this mountain here and kind of this mountain, and sort of shaping this into a nice port / industrial waterfront friendly area. So I know it's a little bit controversial. Let me know what you think in the comments. But I think that's what we're going to do. Like I said, I usually don't do this. It just is the way that the map is. And I know that this map was reworked to, you know, the version on the workshop is not anything like this. So it just, sometimes you got to take some creative liberties. And the reason that I mentioned the thing about the water flow is that if I level this area out and kind of make this, you know, just a little bit different, it's not going to affect the water flow. And what I don't want to do is, you know, like kind of jut any land out like over here or over here, because what that's going to do is it's going to reduce the water flow going this way, and then it's going to lead to, it might allow water to like pull up in here and then potentially flood some of our newer developments that are pretty close to the water line, which I intended to do. You know, I like it when things are close to the water line like this. I think it looks way more realistic. But what I don't want is, you know, massive flooding, because that's what I did before. When I built like this area before, I made way too much land in the water, and then this all flooded because the water just got pulled up in here and it wasn't able to flow this way. So I just wanted to take a second to explain that. Sorry for kind of talking a lot, but it is important. You know, I want you guys to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. Yeah, we're going to start by buying these 3 tiles. We have tons of money, so I'm not really worried. And I might have to buy one more to get like access to like this little bit of land there, which is annoying, but I think I might do it anyway. We have like $15 million. Yeah, and we're making 2.1 million, so can't really complain there. And I think what I might do too is even, you know, if we get this to kind of flow how I want it or to look how I want it, I might even put like a little break wall kind of out over here to really, you know, since you can see the water's flowing pretty aggressively over here, I might maybe try to force it around here a little bit as opposed to just letting it cut straight through here. So we'll see. But let me just jump into a little bit of a time lapse, and I'm gonna do some terrain work. Again, don't hate me for this. You can see just the difference in the terrain here. And so what we're gonna have to do is kind of dip down pretty far to the water line, which, you know, this isn't that bad right here, but we can do better. And even some of this here, we might try to go like for like this height, you know, here we might try to really reduce all of this. And I do want to keep like this mountain. I just think everything over here is gonna go. So let's just spend a little bit of time. We'll see how it looks. Don't yell at me. Yell at me in the comments if you want, but let's get into it. Okay, so you could see kind of what I've done, and I know, say what you want, but I don't think it's the worst terraforming change that you could do to this map or in the game, you know, period. Basically what I've done is I've kind of taken a little bit of inspiration from, you know, this kind of water basin here. You could see how it's really deep over here, how it's shallow over here, and the water kind of flows this way. I sort of imagine that, you know, if I was able to reshape the terrain and sort of like play God here for a second, you know, I would have guessed that maybe at one point this was where the water used to be, like the water level. This was sort of like an old, like, I mean, old, I'm talking like, you know, maybe millions of years ago, that the water was in here. Like this was sort of the bay. So I kind of made like another just bigger bay cutout, and so like the water line has receded, and now, you know, this area of land is sort of exposed. And I know this edge is very straight, but this is, you know, just thinking about where I want my port to be. But, you know, you can also see like maybe this was like a little runoff from this mountain here, and the water kind of came through here, pulled into this bay, you know, and just kind of went around here. So I don't think that it's that unrealistic in the sense, you know, in that sense. So I'm okay with that. But at least now it actually gives us some buildable space here. So, you know, we can kind of have a road. We could sort of bring this road kind of down this mountainside. And you can see I kind of cheated. I kind of did that intentionally, just kind of slope this up here, envisioning that, you know, maybe this road will come down here. We'll have a way for it to kind of, you know, loop around into like a port area. And just so you guys, you know, don't think I'm too crazy, you can see that the port sort of fits in here now. We could do a little bit more terraforming as necessary, but at least this is like a little bit of a space that we could work with opposed to, you know, before where we couldn't really do much with this at all. But I do gotta keep in mind, is there a train line in here, I think? Or I could put one in here. I gotta remember that so that I can remember to put like a train line over here somewhere too. But you know, the port area needs to be humongous, and I feel like this still isn't big enough, but at least we can, you know, buy these map tiles and maybe work with this land a little bit to kind of shape it to how we want it. But I think every city needs like a massive port and industrial area, and this map just doesn't really have the room to do that. So now that we got that out of the way, though, we can actually start building the water treatment center. So let's go ahead and plan that out. All right, so in terms of where to put this water treatment center, I originally wanted to put it as close to the water line as possible, but I'm a little bit not sure if we're going to be able to necessarily do that now that we've kind of kept this area pretty elevated, and I don't want to build any land out this way. What we could do, though, is perhaps build some land kind of out this way, although this terrain is a little bit intense, and I kind of don't want to impede, again, I don't want to impede the water flow, you know, coming around this area here, although it might get shifted around here anyway, so I'm not too worried. What I do worry about, though, is a little bit of flooding happening here that will impact our port area, sorry. But let's see real quick if we can maybe, see, there's just a lot going on here in terms of the you know, if I just like dragged out like a big square plot of land right here for this water treatment center, I don't know how realistic it would look, although I'm not completely opposed to it. Should we try it? I feel like we should try it, because when you look at the size of this facility with the add-ons and everything, it does get pretty big, and I kind of want to, you know, I might just keep some industry up here, not have I do like my water treatment facilities to be right on the kind of right on the water if I can. So let's actually go ahead and do that. Let's try to shape this terrain a little bit. Let's just see what we can do. I know we're going a little bit crazy today, and this is not a typical episode for me, but I'm just trying to take some liberties here. You know, we're trying to make the map kind of work for us, and again, I'm not too disappointed about it. Sometimes, you know, it's just a game, so I want to make something that I like, and this is how we're going to do it. Let's go ahead and kind of mess with this terrain a little bit, see if we can get something that, you know, is relatively buildable. Okay, and so I think so far we're going to be all right in terms of not letting water like get backed up, you know, here too much. But one thing that's interesting is just the height difference. You know, look at the slope from here to here. You know, how far the water drops off. So I think this is going to be, you know, we're not going to do any key walls like right here. So I think what we're going to do is try to build a facility kind of on this side, and then sort of keep this as like we'll turn this into kind of a natural, you know, jut out from the land. So we'll have a little bit, you know, some more trees here, kind of soften up these cliff faces a little bit, make it a little bit more of a untouched landscape, you know, on this side. And then this side we're going to clearly have like some key walls, you know, it's going to be very altered by mankind, I guess. So now that we've spent most of the episode doing some terrain work, let's actually go ahead and just build this water treatment facility. I'm not going to focus on the port yet. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to make a very temporary connection. And again, this is extreme emphasis on temporary, because, you know, I want to make sure that I get this highway network kind of the way that I want it. But we're just going to do something just completely ridiculous right now. And it's actually not the worst height difference I've ever seen. So this could be we'll work at this, you know, when we build our port eventually. We'll come back and, you know, adjust kind of how this road functions. But for now, we're just going to kind of drag it out. I think I might even go into an alleyway here, if I'm being honest. All right, so now we have our road connection, and I just realized that because this is a highway, there's not water mains under this. We're going to go ahead and build some, and for now we're going to keep them under the roads. We'll move them later if you know, we change these roads, which I assume that we will. All right, so that should all be connected up now, and this is just kind of the definition of, you know, trust the process and kind of trust my vision for this whole area. You know, once we get this actually built out with the port and the industry and everything, it's gonna look good. I really think it is, and I think you guys are gonna like it. And I'm just kind of chipping this away piece by piece. And I know it's a little bit drastic, but I'm gonna try to, as best I can, to still make it look, you know, natural. And we're not gonna have, you know, just this whole thing be like a square edge. It's still gonna be natural. There's gonna be some nice transitions. Just trust me on this. All right, it's gonna come together, I promise. But let's go ahead and just get the facility built. So we're gonna start by just kind of making this area a little bit more workable. Really working on, you know, getting these edges cleaned up, getting some key walls in place, and then we'll start to kind of place the buildings. But I just want to get a sense of the scale of this facility. So it is going to be a bit bigger, and I think I do want this to kind of, you know, be on the water's edge as much as possible. And I know there are some upgrades for this, so it can be upgraded with advanced filtering and additional processing units. So I think the additional processing unit, I think, is like those circular water tanks. So I want to leave some room for those, and I want to leave some room for like a parking lot and stuff as well. All right, and so you can see that this is what I was worried about right here, was just like this little bit of flooding kind of happening. So I think we're gonna have to go back to the drawing board. We'll come back, you know, to this area in a future episode. But this seems to be working for the most part now, and we do have to get some power down here. So I think what we're gonna do is eventually, I would like to get. I would guess that if this is like going to be a pretty bustling port area, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to get like some high tension lines down here. So I might not do that right now, but just for the future, I might, you know, think about coming across here with some high tension power lines and bringing those down to like a substation, you know, somewhere over here or something like that. But for now, that's okay. We'll just, we'll probably just run some, I may even just upgrade this to a road, to be honest with you, instead of the highway, and just so we can have our, power and water down here anyway. Well, even though we did just run a water main. I'll get power in a second, but what I want to do now is I want to have this pretty much replace the capacity of the current waste management system. So right now, The wastewater is at, what do we got? We got 470,000 capacity. So I think the water treatment plant adds 400,000 at 100% upkeep, which clearly it does not have power, so it's not doing that. But our current production of wastewater is at about 252. So I do want to have a little bit of future capacity built in here instead of just, getting the 400,000. I think I might add this and bump it up to, or not add this. I want to add the extra processing unit. This will bump it up to 500,000 total capacity. And I like that. I like that a lot. I think that'll make a lot of sense for us. And then we can add this in here. But this is going to be a purification rate of 10%. Interesting. Interesting. Oh, and this is actually a sub building too. I did not know that. Okay, that makes this a little bit different here. In that case, we might actually bump out. Oh, can I not? Oh, I can relocate it. Oh, sweet. Okay, good. I was worried that I wouldn't be able to do that. In that case, we can do something like this. And I'll just level out this terrain, kind of cut into the mountain a little bit here, which again might be a little bit unrealistic, but this isn't the end of the world. And I think that's kind of all right for right now, for the purposes of what I'm trying to accomplish with this water treatment facility. I'm not too unhappy with this. I know it doesn't look, the best right now, but trust me, just trust me, this whole area, it's going to come together. All right. It's going to take some time, but it's going to come together. So just bear with me for a minute. But what we are going to do, since all these people are still dying somehow, and yeah, we are going to get this hooked up to some power so that we can actually have this function. And so I think I'm just going to go ahead and pull the trigger and upgrade this stuff to some roads. That way it's just easier. It's just easier for now instead of having this highway. And I know we have the water main under here, but we'll probably convert this back to a highway at some point soon anyway. And now my highway is flooded. So let me do something about this. All right, hopefully that solves our water issue for now. All right, and so again, I know it's not perfect, but now this should be functioning. So we can at least get rid of these things finally. Because how much do we have? We have 935. Yeah, okay, yeah, we could definitely get rid of these. We can start cleaning up this water. This is step one to cleaning up this harbor. And who knows, maybe one day we'll be able to convert this into some residential, but that's a long ways away. At least some of this maybe, but anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But yeah, all of our icons for our wastewater overload are all gone away, which is excellent. And I know it seems like we practically built literally nothing in this episode, but I promise we did. I'm excited that we did this because, yeah, we finally get this water treatment facility working. It means that we actually have a functional treatment facility for many years to come, hopefully. But yeah, I think what we'll do now is just maybe drag this road out here. We'll probably throw some like small industrial buildings kind of back here, just something real little. But then we're going to detail this up with some trees, with some natural landscaping, and we'll kind of make this look somewhat like it's supposed to be here, like it's supposed to be here. And I know we have this giant cliff right here, but it's kind of cool. It's kind of a cool backdrop, and it's sort of it's hidden from the city, which is nice. And we'll have, our big port here. I promise this is going to look so cool. I'm so excited to build this at some point soon. So just bear with me. We're going to make something really awesome in this area. And it's kind of fun sometimes to, reshape things to how you want them and, take some creative liberties. But yeah, with that being said, I think we're going to go ahead and call it an episode here today. Again, sorry we didn't look like we built a lot, but we definitely laid the groundwork and, got some ideas flowing. So stay tuned in the next episode. I think we'll, now that we have our water treatment situation sorted out for the time being, I think what we'll do is kind of jump back over here, finish detailing up this park and kind of this waterfront and this whole area kind of over here, you know, to kind of finish up this this little corner here and get this all squared away. So thanks again for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and hopefully we'll be back with some more regularly scheduled videos, and then, you know, as of now. So it's fun to get back in the game, and I'm really having a great time, despite the fact that my whole city seems to be dying, which is not ideal, but I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So in a future episode. So thanks again, guys. Hope you have a great week, and I will talk to you soon. Peace out.